It's 25 years of media excellence. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from the Joy 99.7 FM studios here in Kokomlemle. Our digital address GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. Affiliates across the country, including Volta Premier in Ho, A1 Radio in Bolgatanga. It's on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, Digibank, Let's Go, and Telesol 4G. Just a touch. In this edition, 10 out of 16 regions hit by the fast spread in COVID-19 would trace the rise of the nation's cases a month after the first infections were announced.
The Minister of Health has confirmed 2 cases of COVID-19. Cases were confirmed on the 12th of March. Both individuals returned to Ghana, one from Norway and the other from Turkey.
Police intensify crackdown on people flouting the lockdown rules with arrests and prosecutions.
Arrest is put all together, but they be quite substantial arrest and prosecution. I know some people are even in remand as I speak to you.
We have details as officers clamp down on recalcitrant beach owners and drinking spot operators today.
But this time we're going to clamp down on the beach owners, the organizers who entertain, who due to monetary factors seem to be undermining, the operation.
We have details. Volta Regional Security Council shuts down major markets to contain spread of COVID-19.
We decided to close the Joapo market. We also decided to close the KC3 market. There are 20 policemen and 20 soldiers that are in the market.
Mamprugu Overlord warns relatives of dead COVID-19 patients resisting self-quarantine to comply. And Remember Me, another classic by budding country music sensation El Tove, at a time the world is seeking solutions to a pandemic.
My name is Dismas, a hardened rubber. I am guilty.
And that's coming up here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apawu. Please stay for details. In our very first story, police in Accra say they began arrests and prosecutions of people flouting the lockdown rules. While compliance remains high, the police are worried that some individuals are disregarding the rules governing the restrictions aimed at containing a fast-spreading virus. We'll explore these in a bit, but first, Ghana's infections have now spread to 10 out of the 16 regions of the country. On March 12, 2020, Health Minister Kweku Agyeman-Manu broke news of the nation's first case of the coronavirus. 32 days on, the case count stands at 566. The following news desk report captures the highlights after a month of increased testing and rising cases.
Hello Ghanaians, good evening. The Minister of Health has confirmed 2 cases of COVID-19.
Health Minister Kweku Agyeman-Manu, flanked by Director of Public Health Dr. Bedisa Akwadie, and Information Minister Kojo Oponkroma. He breaks the troubling news to the millions of Ghanaians listening and watching across the country with rapt attention.
We received both individuals returned to Ghana, one from Norway and the other from Turkey. So these are imported cases of COVID-19.
This left many worried, with some international schools where students had come into contact with cases shutting down. As Ghana's case count rose to 6, President Akufo-Addo announced stringent measures that affected schools and public gatherings.
All public gatherings, including conferences, workshops, funerals, festivals, political rallies.
The cases continued to rise, with more stringent measures announced each time legislation was passed to give the President the power to institute some of these directives. That did not contain the situation much, as imported cases soon translated into community transmission. People with no travel history had begun testing positive for the virus. By March 24, Ghana had recorded 52 cases. 100 more cases were recorded 6 days later. On April 1, the health minister placed the count at 195. It rose to 204 on April 2, 287 on April 6, and 313 on April 8. 4 days later, the case count now stands at 566.
So that's the news desk report capturing the highlights after a month of increased testing and rising cases. Head of our health desk, Fred Smith, has been monitoring the COVID-19 and matters relating to that. He joins us in studio for some analysis on this. So, Fred, which regions are yet to record cases?
Well, we have 6 of them: Western North, Ahafo, Bono East, Oti, and Savannah.
Okay, so we have 10 out of the 16 regions recording cases. But what has been the recovery, the figures in terms of recovery, and how many tests have been conducted so far?
Well, so far, 4 have fully recovered according to the latest Ghana Health Service data, and that's 0.7% recovery rate. That's against the global average of 6.2%. Now, it's important to note, however, that for Ghana, there are as many as 543 out of the 566 who are doing very well or responding to treatment. That represents a whopping 95.9%, assuming they've all recovered. And for these persons, the authorities are mainly being cautious not to clear them and later discover that they are still positive. So they're being taken into a series of tests, and you must test negative, which means 2 consecutive negative results for you before you will be cleared.
Interesting. That's the head of our health desk, Fred Smith, and the results that we have, the 566, worth noting that is as at 11th April, 11 hours, 11th April, and we're hoping that we'll get more results. But let's head to the Western region and look at the compliance. The Volta region, for instance, we know that the Security Council has shut down major markets in the region. We'll go there shortly. But my colleague Ina Kwanza joins us on the line from the Western region on compliance there. Ina, what can you report?
Right now I'm at one of the pubs, the Island Beach, and it's an empty space. The beach owners have locked up the beach. There are tight security service, both from military and then police service patrolling around. And then in the metropolis itself, it looks more like a lockdown region, especially when we had already recorded 1 case.
But there's no official announcement per se for the Western region in terms of restrictions. So it looks like residents themselves are imposing that restriction on themselves. Is that what the case is?
Yes, Emefa.
Well, but you've been speaking to some residents following the recording of 1 case for the region. What have they been saying, and what exactly is the talk in town?
Yes, so Emefa, yesterday when we also the confirmation on the health website, it turned out that people in the region were curious to find out which particular district this case is coming from. Some had speculations that it was coming from Elembele, some had Shama. A lot of districts were being mentioned. So people were sort of afraid. They wanted to know exactly where this district is. And then it kind of add up to the fear they part of the weeks, even though the region had not recorded any. They are now afraid. They want to observe social distance strictly. They want to stay at their homes in order to avoid, because you can't tell who this particular person is.
That's my colleague Ina Kwanza. We head to the Volta region now because the Security Council there has shut down major markets in the region as part of efforts to contain the spread of COVID-19. The region has recorded 9 cases at a go, leaving residents worried. Fred Kwame has been monitoring the situation there, but we can hear from the Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Lecha. He's been speaking on the measures the Security Council is rolling out to contain the spread of the virus in the region.
We decided to close the Juapo market. We also decided to close the KC3 market, the Germany, and the markets, all the markets that are close to North Town. Then South Town also decided to close the Sovakope market.
Okay.
Titus have also decided to do same in Apawu. And then yesterday I was informed by Central Town DC that they were also going to close the market. The whole market today is whole market day. But what has been done in whole is that we provided security. There are 20 policemen and 20 soldiers that are in the market. So there are no traders in the whole market today. It's supposed to be the traditional market day, but the chiefs with the queen mothers and all of us agreed that today should be a cleanup in the market. So we have security presence in the market.
And that's the Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Lecha. Of course, we'll be going around the other regions and check the situation. Of course, regions that have recorded cases, and then also the greater Kumasi, the Ashanti region. We know that there's a lockdown there, and we'll check compliance shortly when my colleague Kwesi Deborah joins us on the phone. But the Ghana Police Service says it's remanded a number of people who flouted the lockdown rules announced by the government. The restrictions are meant to cut the spread of the coronavirus in Ghana. Speaking on the Super Morning Show with Daniel Dancy today, Director of Operations at the Accra Region Police, ACP Kwesi Fori, says personnel will ensure a strict compliance of the current partial lockdown. According to the top police officer, these persons were arrested in the 14 divisions of the Accra region.
As the day progresses, we're seeing improvement in our operations and coordination. We'll do whatever it takes to make sure that the effort of government is achieved, making sure that the people of Ghana are safe and people live in their homes and so forth. And those who fail to, we've also done some arrests from the 14 divisions in Accra.
How many?
We have 14 police divisions.
I mean, number of arrests.
Arrests is quite, we've not put all together, but they'll be quite substantial arrest and prosecution. I know some people are even in remand as I speak to you for violating, the law, and we're doing everything possible. It is a humanitarian exercise, but some recalcitrant ones are pushing us, to go beyond what is humanitarian, using applicable force, to ensure that they comply.
He also warned that his men will be on the lookout for drinking sport operators, beach owners, and other small businesses who are secretly doing business and exposing the health of his customers to the disease, especially during the Easter festivities.
And this morning, as I speak to you, there is a grand, beach security operations going on, a combined operation between the national headquarters and the regional headquarters. We have close to about 15, 16 beaches around Accra, the notable ones. And we place them under our close watch, where we're going to multiply in our numbers in those areas to prevent people from gathering. And the warning also goes to the organizers and the owners of the beaches, that whoever infringes upon the laws of the land will be arrested, investigated, and sent to court. And we are very strict about that, because the main exercise is to people to leave home, avoid the spread, and be safe. So we're going all out. But this time we're going to clamp down on the beach owners, the organizers who entertain, who, due to monetary factors, seem to be undermining, the operation. We're going to take them, and there is the likelihood of prosecution. And today we're saying that nobody should go out there to the beaches to celebrate or to do whatever. No beach, footballing and so forth. No, nothing. And we're going to ensure that we drive everybody out there and make sure that police authority or security authority prevails on the ground. The military are there, the police are also there.
That's ACP Kwesi Fori, Director of Operations for the Accra Region Commander, speaking on the Super Morning Show. He mentioned specifically the beaches as well. Well, let's head to the La Pleasure Beach now, where my colleague Ifwa Evans Chinri has been monitoring the situation there. Ifwa, what's the situation as we speak? Do we have people complying, or we have individuals who are flouting the rules?
Yeah, hi, Emefa. Empty beaches and tight security. Words that can best describe the situation out here at the beaches. I've been to the Labadi Beach, the beach near the Osu Castle, and the Choco Beach, located in an area where people have refused to adhere to some of the restrictions. I spoke with one of the workers at the Labadi Beach, who told me that the past few days had been crazy because they've had to send a lot of people back home, especially at night. Let's listen.
Yeah, people will still be coming here. In Ghana, we don't take simple instructions. So as a workers here, we have to be here and throwing them away, not to come inside. Because after all, if anything happens inside, it will go against the management of the beach. That's why we are here, so that we will stop them from coming inside.
But at what time? Do they come during the day or during the night? What?
From morning to evening, but at times from 10 to 11, then you will see more people are coming. At night. You see more people are coming inside by forcefully. But as we are here, we don't allow them, so that anything will go against us. Because if anything goes on here, it will go against us, because we are now, the president is in himself is telling us not to do this and not to do that. So the people that are coming inside, if anything happen now, they will run away. They will to go against us as the management. That's why we are here to stop them.
Now, let's talk about security presence at the beaches that you visited. What's the situation? Hello, looks like we've lost Ifwa Evans Chinwe there on the phone, but my colleague PSC Nanaya Safo has been to the West Hill Malls and he joins me on the phone. PSC, what's the situation as you witnessed?
Emefa, as you just said, in fact, the mall is virtually deserted, but for a few scores of parents who are here to grab a few final supplies for the awards within the Easter season or the remainder of it during the lockdown period. My observations were that most of the playgrounds here, there were no children there at all. High security has been enforced, and even with the few patrons who are visiting the mall, many had to wait outside the mall where they found the numbers to be more than 25. They had to wait outside, and then that number had to be regulated constantly. The shop operators, or the only ones that they show up, are the game center and that of ShopRite. But even there, you could see many of the managers were not particularly happy as the sales at this time have plummeted, they said.
Well, on your journey or throughout the journey to the West Hill Mall, what would you say about compliance of the lockdown? We know that the police have stepped up the enforcement of the restrictions. What can you say about it? What has been your observation?
As you get closer to Kaswa in the hours of 10 to 11 a.m., there was a bit of a traffic situation there, which was quite mind-boggling because at this period, many are under lockdown, and in fact, today is also a holiday. But as we returned, we realized that had succeeded. You could tell many of the police officers had been active, and in fact, even the few that did make it to the mall, there was a major conversation there that they had hardship in getting to the mall because the police are up and doing on the roads.
That's my colleague PSA Nanaya Safo. We'll head to the Ashanti region shortly where we are told about long queues at Asokwa. But let's get to the eastern region. There's no official announcement of a lockdown, but the region has recorded 32 cases as it stands now. My colleague Kofi Sian joins us on the line. Kofi, we know there were some agitations over the weekend for a lockdown of the region. What's the latest?
Well, Emefa, the regional minister over the weekend hinted of a meeting to decide whether to lock down the whole region or to target only the Krobo enclave to lock them down. And the Krobo enclave includes the Yulu Krobo district, the Lower Menya Krobo municipality, the Upper Menya Krobo district, and the Sojaman district. So we're expecting a meeting to take place this afternoon, but I've been to the regional coordinating council and there is no indication of a meeting. Probably I'm told it's because today is a holiday, so they wouldn't be meeting. Maybe the meeting will be taking place tomorrow.
But what's generally the talk in town now that the region has recorded 32 cases?
Well, there is total confusion in the region. Let me say that because people are worried now that the Fantiakwa district has also recorded a case. It's possible that there are other cases in the other districts or municipalities that people do not know, and they are calling. People are even ready for government to restrict the movement of people in the region.
That's my colleague Kofi Sian. We head to my home region now, the Volta region, and we recorded 9 cases at a go. And we're told that the Volta Regional Security Council has shut down major markets in the region as part of efforts to contain the spread of the COVID-19. Fred Kwame Asare has been monitoring the situation. Fred, first tell us about what we know about the 9 cases that the region has recorded.
Emefa, 6 out of the 9 cases that were recorded were part of some foreign nationals who were arrested at the Apawu border, about 24 of them in number. So 6 of them tested positive for COVID-19, though they all in mandatory quarantine. And then also, they have not shown symptoms yet. They've been in quarantine for about 12 days. 2 of the 9 cases were also recorded in Hohwe. A 22-year-old woman who had returned to Hohwe from Ashaiman to deliver. She developed symptoms 2 weeks after her arrival. Another person is a 32-year-old man who traveled to Hohwe. He also resides in Tema. He traveled to Hohwe before the lockdown. And then the third person who is in Ho, or the third case who was recorded in Ho, is a 48-year-old man who also came to Ho from Accra and then showed symptoms 12 days after his return. We are told that all 9 persons who tested positive for COVID-19 are stable and are also receiving treatment in isolation centers.
Now let's talk about the shutdown of the major markets in the region. What's been the reaction and as against the compliance as well?
Well, here in the regional capital, who I should say residents and traders are complying very well with the directive. A team of military and then police personnel were deployed this morning to ensure they comply with the directive. I spoke to some of the traders and then they told me that, yes, they are aware of the virus. They are told that it is in the air. So they very much welcome the directive that they shouldn't observe market days in the sense that when they convert to trade, perhaps the virus might spread among them. So they have welcomed the directive. Other markets like the Bando, Sogakofe, Japon, Dabala, all have been closed down. But then we also have reports that in the Mafi Kumasi market, where a directive was given last night that they shouldn't observe the market day, there are still trading activities here and there, with traders explaining that they are not aware of the directive, that there wouldn't be any market day today. So there are trading activities in Mafi Kumasi, though other markets in the region have been closed down.
That's our Volta regional correspondent Fred Kwame Asare. So as Ghana's 10 regions out of the 16 record confirmed cases of COVID-19, the Ghana Medical Association says a total lockdown may be necessary. Dr. Justice Yankson is the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, and he said this on the Joy News show, The Lockdown.
Truth be told, we find ourselves gradually getting into a difficult situation. We all expected the cases to rise, but the rate at which we are moving now, it will be very prudent for all of us to start taking the measures that have been put in place very seriously. That decision to probably extend to other regions will also be informed by what is happening on the ground.
Now we have 10 regions out of 16 reporting cases. Should there be a total lockdown?
The president has said he's going to review. Of course, that review is based on the statistics, the realities on the ground. Hitherto, some of these regions were not in there, but we are seeing numbers. So it's possible that we may extend to that end.
Also, there's been weeks of debate about whether or not the wearing of nose masks could help prevent spread of the coronavirus. Well, the Ghana Medical Association is recommending that everyone puts it on.
Looking at the way our numbers are going, we need to start advising people to put on the mask as well. The truth is, we are still getting a lot more details about this novel coronavirus. The literature, the research keep being updated from time to time because of newer things that are coming up. But if you see best practices elsewhere, and the fact that credible institutions like the CDC have recommended, then clearly there is some benefits in wearing the mask.
Dr. Justice Yankson is the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. He spoke to me on the Lockdown show Sunday evenings at 7:30 p.m. This is the Midday News. You're on Joy 99.7 FM. Our top stories: coronavirus now spreads to 10 out of 16 regions. We've been tracing the rise of the nation's cases now at 566 a month after the first infections were announced. Later, Mamprugu Overlord warns relatives of dead COVID-19 patients resisting self-quarantine to comply. And Remember Me, another classic by Baden country music sensation El Tove, at a time the world is seeking solutions to a pandemic.
My name is Dismas, a hardened rubber. I am guilty and deserve to die.
Well, trying to tell God that despite our sinful nature, we should always find a way through His enduring love to forgive our sins.
Remember me.
UMB was established in 1972 as the premier bank for the corporate and private sector in Ghana. From our very beginning, as the only Ghanaian bank serving all categories of businesses, we set a standard for excellence and innovation over the past 45 years. We've built a financially healthy and strong bank, demonstrating demonstrated our commitment to our customers and to growing businesses, and exhibited originality and innovation at every turn. At UMB, our focus is built around people, service, products, and technology. These are the key to our present success and our future triumphs. At UMB, we're poised to make a difference not only with our customers, but also in the banking industry. We invite you to share in our future. Our future starts now with you.
With the all-new Supersport Relove, we reorganized all 12 channels to bring you your favorite moments from football, athletics, WWE, and more. Supersport 1 is now available on DSTV Compact, and Supersport 3, the Premier League channel, is on DSTV Family, while 7 is on Access. Get DSTV and relive the greatest stories in sport, from Ali to Zidane and more, with the new Supersport Relove.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. Now to some other stories. The overlord of the Mamprugu traditional area has issued a warning to the family of the deceased COVID-19 patient in Wale Wale, who were refusing to cooperate with the health authorities after they were identified as having been exposed to the victim. My colleague Elias Otanko has been monitoring the situation. He joins us on the line. So have they finally heeded to the call of the overlord?
Well, this morning the message was carried to the family by the chief of Wale Wale, and it was sent to the chief of the Wungu traditional area. As we speak, the chief has informed the family here what the overlord is saying, that despite their concerns, they should handle these concerns well, not to endanger the rest of residents in Wale Wale here. As we speak, some of them, we understand this morning, are heading to this particular call, and they have agreed to go into self-quarantine.
Okay, but they insisted earlier that their relative died of asthma. Has that position changed now?
Not at all, and they have not shifted this particular position. They still insist that they did not believe the relative died of COVID-19. He has been battling asthma for 5 years, according to them. And so that's their position. As we speak, there have been allegations against the hospital. They are claiming that the hospital neglected this particular patient, and that is why he died. The municipal chief executive is currently in a meeting with the hospital management to address this particular allegation.
That's my colleague Elias Otanko. Now to an individual who is supporting widows in the national capital, a food importer and CEO of Glotex, Gloria Owusu, has been feeding 2,000 people, particularly widows, every day since the lockdown, as part of her contribution to cushion them during this difficult season. She's been speaking to Joy News about her motivation.
Some of them do hand-to-mouth work. So if you tell the person that the person should be room for 21 days, we realize that all of them need something. So I started feeding every day, Nipa 2,000 in Greater Accra region. I start from the Kayayo people who are running away when they catch them at a Josso. I was the one who was feeding them from day one to day. Go to Circle. After that, we also go to Tudu, Kwame Nkrumah Independence Square. After that, we also go to National Theatre. There are people around them. And every day I spend 30,000 Ghana cedis, because the caterer who cook for me every place, they charge 15 cedis per pack, because I have promised God that I will do that, so I have to do it.
That's Gloria Owusu there. Well, there's a lot of anxiety everywhere as the virus spreads, and under such situations, everyone looks to God for intervention. Upcoming country musician El Tove, that's Joy News' Christy Debra, has released a new track, Remember Me. He speaks about it.
My name is Dismas, a hardened rubber. I am guilty and deserve to die.
Well, the title Remember Me is about the good thief or the penitent thief. And as is mentioned in the book of Luke, it's trying to tell God that despite our sinful nature, you should always find a way through his enduring love to forgive our sins.
Remember me.
know, we're in the midst of a scourge. And this is a case where the world needs healing. And so, with this Remember Me, we're trying to tell God that we need healing. Remember us, though we are full of sins. So that's all about the title, Remember Me.
My brother's blood I have on my hands.
The reception has been great. The feedback has been awesome. Of course, some have their reservations as to what I'm supposed to do and what I should do, and these are all welcomed. And they think it's simple. They are loving the storyline. They are loving the rhythm. They think everything is simple. Well, in terms of the future, since people are now hooking onto it, country music in Ghana is a new thing. People love country music already. And since I'm doing the traditional type, and of course with time I'll be, and you know, it's all about Christ and what he does, and it's about biblical stories, and people are loving it. So in the future we're looking at bringing out an album so that people can enjoy the country music.
Remember me.
That's my colleague Kwesi Deborah. He's an upcoming country musician, El Tov, ending this edition of the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apawu. Dr. Mensa Otabil has living word. Please stay for it.